My name is Sister Fumi, and I'm here today with one of the most influential leaders in Celestial Church of Christ. It's none other than Superior Evangelist Micheal Aduba, the Shepherd of Life Everlasting Parish in London, UK. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for honouring our invitation to this interview, and thank you also for taking time out of your busy schedule, as we know that you have a very busy schedule.
Thank you.
So, how has your week been thus far?
It's been blessed. I'm looking forward to meeting with the Celestial Weekly. It's a platform that I really admire and support as well. So, out of no time has to be made for such a platform like this, doing such inspirational work within the Celestial fold and in the world at large as well. Thank you very much.
I know that you have been so busy. You're shepherding a active church,
Yep.
and you are always involved in one interview or an event. So I know you're very busy. And that leads me to the first question, because on social media, we've noticed that Life Everlasting Parish is involved in a street revival.
Correct, yeah.
So my first question tonight is, what actually is a street revival, and how did this concept come about?
Okay, the street revival, to be honest with you, what I will do, I'll explain the revival terminology. I would best use the story in the Bible that happened between Ezekiel, when the Lord presented him with a vision, and there was numerous dry bones that were in the valley, and the Lord asked him a question and said, "Can these dry bones live?" Which he said, "You knoweth, Lord." Now that is the instant of a revival about to take place, because this was not just the physical parts of the children of Israel. These were their spiritual parts, which were dead and buried. Even though they were living in person, they were not spiritually alive. And the Lord wanted there to be a revival in their lives. So the Lord gathered about the bones, gathered the flesh upon the bones again in the spiritual realm, to identify that he was doing a revival in the mindset and in the life of the Israelites. So when I look at the concept of revival, I see it as something where you are rejuvenating, re-invoking strength into people where they may be weak, or spiritually dead, or mentally deranged, or just feel life has no purpose for them. And then the revival brings about a stimulation. Now, taking it to the streets is where it now becomes a church without walls, because you're now bringing your faith, you're bringing your resound knowledge of the biblical scriptures and your love for humanity, and taking it into the streets, regardless of denomination, regardless of sex, regardless of race, and trying to just plant a seed of hope and hope and grace into people's lives. And I think that is how the street revival and where it takes its name from. The concept is quite funny. I was driving one day, and I actually was driving through Stratford, and something just dawned on me and said, "You're going to do a revival in Stratford."
Wow.
And it was quite funny. Immediately I called my personal secretary, and I said, "Look, I've just got this inspiration. It must happen." Because I'm a man of action. The minute something is laid upon me, I don't question, I just do it. And it was quite funny, because when the concept came, I didn't know how it was to be done.
Yes.
But I just knew God wanted the church to go into the streets and preach his gospel. And, we just took to the streets and allowed God to just do it how it wanted to be done. As you can see, last year we went to Stratford and we paraded through the streets. It wasn't premeditated that we were going to parade. We were just going to stand in one place and just sing. But then when I got there now, I said, you know what? Let's walk around and go to the central part of Stratford, because we did not plan to actually go to the central part. We were actually going to have the revival outside the Morrisons. So you can see everything just took place the way the will of God wanted it to take place. So that's how the street revival was birthed. It was just birthed by me driving, and the Lord placing something in my heart. I didn't question it. We just went and done it immediately, and it was a grand success.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And overall, what would you want to achieve by carrying out these street revivals?
As an individual, and as a minister of God as well, and as a father, and as a husband, my main objective is to make sure that everything I do in life bring stability into those three areas I've just spoken about.
Okay.
Going to the streets, you stabilize families. I'm a family man. Going to the street, you stabilize people and bring them into Christ. I'm a minister, I'm a shepherd of a church. And then for my personal being, going to the streets is just something that I've always wanted to do, you know, as a person as well, you know, in any way just to stimulate people, to bring hope into the lives of people. And mainly what I want to achieve is not membership growth for my church. It's for Christ. Good. And once that's achieved, I've lived out my purpose. And that's why, you know, it's something we're all aware of in LEP, that it's not about the church being packed full with members. What can we do to bring people to Christ in their individual walks of life? You know where I'm coming from. And that was the main outcome that I was looking for.
Okay, that's brilliant. When we look into the history of Celestial Church, we hear about how our forefathers used to fill stadiums to the brink of capacity. And, you know, these stadiums were filled with needy people, with people with need. And what I want to ask is, you know, with that kind of evangelism tool that they used to do, because when they used to pack these stadiums with people in need, these members would then, you know, turn to the church and become members.
Correct.
So in your opinion, why do you think that the church has deviated from that kind of evangelism format?
You know, like you said, it's only my opinion. I would say that in those days, there was a dying sense of need of a form of Christianity to be spread. Nowadays, people have apps, you have the internet, you have social media. You can get a sermon laying in your bed now. You don't even need to go out into the stadium or anything. Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? You can sit down and just put on your iPad and watch a sermon and be inspired, you know. In those days, those tools were not available. So there needed to be more work being done. There needed to be such revivals happening. And another thing which I would say why that happened as well, there was a sense of unity.
Yes.
You know, these events were not done on a parish level. They were done on celestial level. So this was an event for Celestial Church of Christ. It was not an event for a parish, or it wasn't an event for a province or a district. It was just an event that everybody comes. Celestial Church of Christ is putting on a revival in the stadium. And then you will have our great fathers that slept in the Lord, and some that are still living, will be there to minister the word of God. And because it was done in unison, the fellowship of the Holy Spirit was able to give birth to miracles that were unexplainable, and people rushed into the church because of that word. So you can see, when you, like you rightly said, when people heard the word captivated them and they came to the church. Celestial is a Bible-believing church. Although many people will discredit that, but, you know, it was the word that drew many people in. And the miracles were coming through the inspiration of the word. And I feel that if today we can begin to do things as celestial, irrespective of a church name, you're still a Celestian. You know, before, in those days, the church name used to be on the area you were. So you can have like Elephant and Castle, who are based in Elephant and Castle, Harting Street, who are actually in Harting Street, North London Parish. Do you see where I'm coming from? The names wasn't how it is now. So we mustn't lose sight of the fact that we are Celestians and we are one. And whatever one is doing, the other is doing as well. So when we come back together, nothing stops even the UK diocese putting on such an event. It's just for everybody to understand we're doing it because of Celestial and for the glory of Celestial, which is Christ Jesus.
Amen. Amen. Okay, and so you've been going to the streets. What has been your personal experience by you evangelising on the streets of London?
Wow, my personal experience has been mind-blowing. To be honest with you, it's been an experience that I sometimes sit down and I still think to myself, is it real? Because, you know, taking to the streets, you know, many of us haven't done it before. I haven't done it before. That was my first time. And it was the first time for a lot of us, you know. And it was funny, some people were conscious of who's on the bus and all those type of things. You know where I'm coming. It was funny because to everybody, you know, it's because you could bump into a friend or something like that. You know where I'm coming from. It was a beautiful experience for everybody, because you saw everybody in their element of actually, for the first time, living out their Christianity, not just coming to church and professing Christ, actually going out there in full glory and professing Christ as well. And it was mind-blowing, you know, just to see people when I finished the ministration, and even when the choir was singing, people were dancing, people had their phones out, you know, where I'm coming from, you know, it was just amazing. And then when I finished the ministration, the Lord laid it upon my heart, whoever wanted prayer should come and receive prayer. Do you know, I did not even know people came for prayer, because at that point in time, I was in my element. And then it was later when they were showing me the footage, I was like, oh, so people came out for prayer. They said, yeah, Shepherd, people came. And, you know, and it was, oh, that was wonderful. Now, you see, many people think that, oh, how many of those people have joined my church? I don't care. The fact they came for prayer, there was a young lady, she was burst out in tears when she was being prayed for. For me, you know, I pray wherever she is right now that that prayer is still lasting in her life. Amen. You know, and it was a shared event. I didn't pray for anybody, but there was ushers that were praying for people to let you know that it wasn't just about me being the shepherd. The whole church had an impact in someone's life that day, whether you was video recording, you were allowing it to be shown on air, so you were part of the story, whether you were a chorister, you sang for the glory of heavens to open, whether you were just a side warden, ushering the public to make sure that everything was okay. Everybody had a part in it. And one thing I love about LEP is the fact that I'm working with a team of people, and I have a membership that, you know, I look up to as well. You know, because they are great, and they're in love with Christ, and they share the vision that I share as well. So I'm very lucky to be their shepherd, more than they're lucky to have me as their shepherd.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. So what have been, as you've been taken to the streets, you've said about your highs. Has there been any low points, you know, whilst doing the street revivals?
There hasn't been a low point, but what I would say this year was more challenging than last year.
Okay.
And why I say that is that this year, Street Revival 2018, we were meant to go back to Stratford. But unfortunately, when we liaised with the council, they had a lot of building works, which they asked us, please change location. Okay. So I sent a few of the crew out and said, okay, go and find a location. They called me up. Shepherd, we found somewhere in a marketplace in East Ham. Okay, I said no problem. That there were some traders that said we can use that section if we wanted to, which was okay. I didn't go and preview it. I trust that when we delegate work, whoever does it, we have to trust their judgment. We believe the Spirit of God is using everybody. So when I got there that day, it was a populated area of the Islamic faith.
Okay.
It wasn't as diverse as Stratford. Number two, we were delayed because there was a rally going on with the Hindu temple. They had their own little revival going on.
Oh, my.
So they were carrying their, I can't remember the name of their god that they worship, but they were carrying it on the statue. And we had to give them a chance to finish what they were going to do and pass by. So not to be that we're conflicting each other. But that was challenging as well, because that now decreased the time we had, because the council gave us a period of time that we could be there and we had to finish. So that now took time out from where we were. And then, you know, as I looked around, I realized that, wow, this is predominantly Muslim faith, you know. But, you know, as human, yeah, you think, this is the message going to come out here, you know. But, you know, once we got into it, we forgot what type of people were walking around, and we said, well, we got to do what we got to do. And surprisingly, when the music was going on, you saw people with cans of beers in their hand started dancing. You know, you saw guys that were smoking, started dancing, you know. And then, you know, okay, we're getting an audience here, you know. And then obviously then the word came out and God took control. Like, people stopped. People of different faiths stopped. There was a group of guys who were homeless. They stopped, and everybody started watching and listening. And then I realized that, okay, this is different. But you know, sometimes we need things that are challenging, because it motivates us and picks us up even further than we were before. And then after, when we finished, a young chap came up to me. He's Muslim. And we dialogued for at least about 15-10 minutes on faith.
Oh, wow.
And that was beautiful, you know, where I'm coming from. So it was a different setting. It wasn't as loud as last 2017, but then it was a totally different experience. And I believe that even, those that were there saw that it was a totally different experience. And you know what it does as well? It humbles you to understand that not everything you're going to do is always going to be the same. So you still need to have the same energy and the same zeal as you did when it was something that, okay, yeah, everybody's there. This one was a bit quiet. A lot of Islamic people are looking and just, what's he saying? What's he got to say? And I never really preach just Bible bash. I touch the issues happening in the community because that's where the revival needs to be. So I will talk about drugs, I will talk about alcohol, I will talk about marriages, I'll talk about everything that affects the community, because we have to remember we're seed. And when people see that we care, that's when they draw closer to who you are. It's just a sense of caring. But it was challenging, but I thank God that it was achieved.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you.
So what have you noticed internally, like with amongst your congregation? Have there been any differences or any achievements that have happened since you've been going out to do these street revivals?
Most definitely. If I look back 4 years ago, I would say that the members I have now, who majority are the same apart from new people that have come in, they have a totally different ideology about church. And since I've been preaching church without walls, you see that in our behaviors now. We don't just put on church events, we put on events for the community. So I do like a Black History, we do like a Black History Month event.
Yes, of course.
It's all community focused. It's not about the church, it's about the community. We creating a platform for the community to benefit from. And that's why many events coming up also in 2019, they're going to be mind-blowing by the grace of God. But it's all set up for the community. And we are practicing a church without walls. So most of our programs will be set up in a way that anybody can come and share. And I always make them understand, when you're in church, that's for yourself, because you're worshiping for yourself, you're connecting for yourself. Now, when you're out of church, you need to do for other people. And that's part of our worship, that's part of our service, that's part of our faith. And I've just seen different people have just grown. And everybody's growing at their own pace. The people you don't even expect are the ones that love to be out, love to be working. Everybody's so eager. There's times where you have everybody wanting to do the same thing, that, there's competition, but it's healthy competition. I like it because everybody, it's so zealed. The zeal is unbelievable. It makes being a shepherd a beautiful thing, because, when you infect your members with the right kind of courage and not intimidate them, but let them understand that the work belongs to them as much as you. You get the best out of them. And when you get the best out of people, you achieve great things, So when I look at LEP, I look at LEP as my family, I'm just, like I always say to them, I'm just here for the time that God puts me here. Any one of you could be the shepherd tomorrow, it is all in God's hands. God may send me on to somewhere else, it's all in God's hands. But the great thing about this church, they're all leaders in their own right. And that's the beauty. So, no department's failing. And it's beautiful. They've grown immensely, and the street revival really, brought a lot of new converts into the church as well. Like their friends were like, "Wow, you guys do things like this, Celestial Church, really?" I don't know why it's been done before we've done it, but but it's a beautiful thing, to see people coming in through those events, and the members also gravitating and loving the fact that they're Celestians. Doing the work of God, it's a beautiful
marvelous,
thing.
Absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, you see, we're all in our satanas, we're not ashamed of who we are.
Praise God. And finally, my question is, what if there is a member in Celestial Church of Christ and they look around in their parish, and they have a desire to increase maybe the members that come to the church, or not only for that, just to promote the church, promote their own Christianity. What advice would you give them if they wanted to start up a street revival of their own?
Well, the advice I'll give, if you don't know how to go about it, contact LEP. And one thing that we do, funny enough, you're saying this, there a lot of different people do call me in different churches. And at times they may be like, "Oh, I would love to join your church." And I say, "No, like, what do you need us to help you with to get your church doing these type of things as well, because when you look at the younger generation, you know, they want something new, you know, where I'm coming from, something a bit different, you know, where time is moving and the church needs to move with the time as well, you know, where I'm coming from. So, you know, I believe that they need to reach out. You know, LEP is not the type of church, it's all about us. There's a lot of churches that we partnership with a lot to do a lot of things. So it's not just about us. There's times where I've borrowed members from other churches. People don't know. Mega Revival, I had parishioners from New Jerusalem Parish, about 4 who came on to the Mega Revival committee to put on the event for LEP.
Wow.
Yeah. So likewise, when New Jerusalem was doing something, I donated some members to them. I just think Celestial just need to work together. You know, it's not about whose name is in the limelight. It's about Christ's name. You know, and once his name is being lifted up, we shall all be lifted up because we're his children. But I just feel there needs to be a sense of people coming together. Don't feel too big to ask questions or ask the church, how did you do it? You understand where I'm coming from? I've sent my media team sometimes to different churches. Wow, I like what they're doing. Ask them how they're doing it. You know, and they will call them. There's no embarrassment whatsoever because we want to grow, we want to learn, and we can't know it all. Nobody knows it all.
Exactly,
I would advise people, if you want to do a street revival and you don't know how to go about it, we may have some information that may be useful for you, and we're happy to share that information. And I will encourage all churches in their different boroughs, set out on the streets and do it. It's not about the fact that, oh, maybe they're going to think we're copying them. We weren't the first to do it. So whoever believes that we copied them, good luck. Everybody do what you need to do to promote Christ. LEP did not start street revival. It's something that our forefathers have been doing. It's just that we tweaked the name. So the name's just a bit different. But revival is revival. So, you know, every church should get out there and be doing a street revival, to be honest with you. Every person. We need to take on things from each other, learn from each other. If I see you're doing something good, I need to embrace that. And there's no such thing as copying. It's called inspiration.
Oh, brilliant. That was a really nice ending to our interview. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Well, now we've spoken to the shepherd of Life Everlasting Parish, and now we're here speaking to some of the members who participated in the street revival. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kate of Sister Deborah.
Hi, I'm Sister Shower.
Welcome. My question is to you. When you first heard that you were going out on the street revival, what was your initial reaction?
For me, it was quite exciting, and it was somewhat of a challenge because it's not something like you hear of going out in your Satana, especially Stratford. So for me, it was kind of at start kind of scared because I just didn't know what to expect and who would be receptive of the church and also how it would go. But hearing that we're actually going out to preach Christ was very exciting and fun.
And you, Sister Cheryl?
I felt exactly the same. Obviously, at first, I was really excited, but nervous at the same time. Okay. Just like what Sister Debbie said, you don't know how people are going to take the street revival. And just the fact that we're out in our Satana, we've got no shoes on, you know, I just thought, this is really strange. It's not what you do on a daily basis. We don't do it every day. So yeah, coupled with my excitement to go out, to sing to people, to speak to people, nervousness was definitely an underlying emotion that I felt at the same time.
Oh, but you got over it.
Definitely.
Brilliant. And what would you say were the positives that you found on the day of the street revival?
For me personally, being able to share my faith with the public is something that was amazing. I never thought that I'd have such an impact on other people, especially being, a singer. When you're there and you're singing, and some people will stand in front of you and take in what you're saying, that for me was amazing. It was worthwhile because obviously, that's what we were called to do. Like what Shepherd said earlier, when we come to church, we worship for ourselves. But when you go out and you do something for other people, that's your service as a Christian. When you're at church, you're not giving a service. You're worshipping to receive something from God. But when I was out singing, people taking it in, dancing, being able to say I'm a proud Christian, a proud Celestian. I've got no shoes on in Stratford, but I'm going to do it anyway. That was amazing. And having people stand there like with their phones out, recording you. I saw some of the footage on Snapchat. That felt amazing. I just felt like I was able to make a difference in someone's day.
Oh, brilliant. And, if you came across somebody who was maybe a little bit timid or felt that the idea of street revival was kind of like a daunting idea, what advice would you give them? What encouragement would you give them?
I think I'd say to them, you never know until you try. And for me now, when we was told that we was doing it again this year, I was really excited because I knew how much fun I had last year and how much of a difference it made in me, like seeing my faith not just in the church but seeing it in the community.
Yes.
So it kind of takes you out of your person and lets you know that it's not just about you. And that's really one thing that I've been learning, like in our church, that it's not so much about what am I getting from it, but it's so much more about what can someone else benefit from it. And Christ always said, the greatest command is love your neighbour as yourself.
Absolutely.
And so we need to, or to that person, love other people and just know that it's about you bringing happiness or joy or peace or sharing a prayer for someone else. And I guess that's what I'd say.
Oh, brilliant.
I'd say just go for it, because I find that in Celestial Church we are all in our comfort zone. Nobody really wants to go out to come out of the norm. Like we said, the street revival is not normal, but we as a church have taken it upon ourselves to go up there, out of our comfort zones. And I think if you're timid, if you're shy, you just have to do it. Stop procrastinating. Just do it.
Well, we'll end there on a good advice.
Thank you for watching all our interviews. We hope you enjoyed them. Please check out all our new content, and also do like, share and subscribe, and also download our new Celestial Weekly app. Thank you for watching and stay blessed.